Yeah.
A very good morning to one and all present here. I welcome you all to the most awaited TikTok webinar 3.0 on the way, on the behalf of SAIT family. So, on the occasion of 75 glorious platinum year of WCE Sangli and 25 magnificent year of IT Department, let us introduce the third session of Tech Talk series based on the Android development domain. It is the moment of extreme pleasure to welcome our keynote speaker and proud alumni of WCE, the S the SDI developer Mr. Aniket Lahamge. Mr. Aniket is currently working as an associative software engineer at Veritas Technology. He is a cybersecurity enthusiast and have an interest in the ethical hacking. He is also has good grasps in the field of web development and in the technology like Flutter, shell scripting. Apart from this, he was a system administrative in the part of lab admin committee of IT department in WCE Sangli. We are really glad to have such a great personality with us. I hope this conference motivates and enlightens us all, provide us with the approach to deal with the problems of Android development. So without wasting a time, let's have a valuable guidance from our keynote speaker. And then after, we will have a Q&A session where the participant will be allowed to ask their queries in the chat box. I request our keynote speaker, Mr. Aniket, to continue henceforth.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Shubham. So, a warm good morning to all. And the most important thing that Happy Independence Day. So, this is a glorious year that we are celebrating 75th Independence Day. And the most important thing is that even Walchand also completed its 75 glorious years, and even the IT department is completing 25 years. So that's really uh, means auspicious day for all of us. Okay, so should we go forward and start? So there are a few tips before starting. So treat me as your friend. I'm not a mentor. I'm not a speaker. I'm not a sir. So kindly request you all that no sir, nothing else to me. You can just say Aniket. And if you say sir, I will say sir to you as well. Okay. So then the next thing is, if you have any question on the current topic on which we are discussing, you can directly raise the question. And if you have any another question related to Android, but it's not related to the current topic which we are discussing, then we can have that question at the end. Okay. So I suppose that this session would be more interactive from your side as well. And treat me as your friend. I am not too senior to you. I have passed out last year from Walchand itself. And I have been a part of IT as well as SAIT. I was part of SAIT as well as WLG as well as most of the clubs like Art Circle. So I loved being as an alumni of Walchand. And the most beloved is that I was the alumni of IT department. So we'll start with the session. So should I start the presentation? Shubham?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I will share my screen. So let me know once the screen is visible.
Yeah, it's visible.
All right. So I'll start the presentation. So hi all. So you can see there's one guy, that is Google Android. So it has all the Android devices. As you can see, smart goggles, smart watch, smart Bluetooth, and itself the Android. So let's discuss about me. So I am Aniket Lahamge. I am a computer science enthusiast as introduced by Shubham. So I am a cybersecurity enthusiast and dropped into Veritas as it is a cybersecurity, or we can say security firm. Then I love playing with the new technology. So whenever a new technologies end up in the market, I try to figure it out and try to have a glimpse on it. So the next important thing is I am a Flutter developer as well as Android developer. So in my college days, I've developed Android app in the Android studio. But later, after passing out, so I moved on to Flutter. So I found it really handy and really means easy to develop and all the stuff. And the last one is web developer. So I love developing websites also. So I develop mostly in Node.js, AngularJS, and Vue.js as well. So the next important thing is work. So I have already mentioned that I am associate software engineer at various technologies. So I have an experience of 1 year, right from last year till today. And then the education details. So Shubham has already introduced to you. The contact details, you can contact me on Instagram. So Adaptix Anik is my username. Then you can find me on LinkedIn as well. That is the same username. You can find Adaptix-Anik, or you can directly search Aniket Lahamge. The mail ID is given here. So adaptix.anik@gmail.com. So yeah. So let's have a question to one and all. What is Android? So what do you think? What is Android? So you can have or you can answer during the session as well. Okay. So is there anyone who can tell me what is Android as per your knowledge? So I guess most of the students are, most of the participants are from first year and second year, I guess. So you'll just confirm me, Shubham. So yeah. Hello? Am I
Yes.
audible?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was your question?
So most of the participants are from first year and second year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Some of them are from third year.
Okay, sure. So there's a straight question to all, that what do you think, what is Android? So just try to be interactive. You can there is no any judging or punishment if you gave the wrong answer or just a silly answer. So if anyone likes to share what is Android, else I can share it.
If people are saying in the chat box that operating system.
All right. Yeah. So as the word mentioned, so I will just yeah, I will shift that tab to another. Okay. So I can see the chat box as well. All right. Yeah. So yes, it is correct. It's a mobile operating system. It's an open source framework. So what do you mean by open source? Anyone? Does anybody know what is open source? So I will tell you. Open source means its source code is available, easily available. Yes, Sumit, you explain it right. Its source code is available. You can change the code as per your needs, and you can modify the content as you want. So it's open source, and the most important thing is it is free, and you can directly download from any its official website only. So I prefer to be downloaded from official website only, because as it is open source, many of the developers are changing their requirements and deploying it on the GitHub or any other source platform. So rather it's safe to download from official site only. So the next thing is it is based on Linux. So I am a Linux developer right from my college days till today. Now from college I was developing in Ubuntu. Like I used to prefer Ubuntu, and after that, after passing out, I preferred Red Hat Linux the most, and my current work is also on the Red Hat. So as you can see here, a funny picture is given that is using Windows. It's kind of what we can say chomu, yeah, in Hindi, yeah. So the next thing is using Linux with easy to use interface and setup. So you can directly use the graphical user interface of Linux. So it's not that powerful. The people will think about you. And the next thing is Linux with full command. So even if you open the terminal and just write the command to update the Linux, even the people around you will say that you are a hacker or somewhat. So it's kind just kiki, right? So the next thing is not constrained to only cell phones. So yes, Android is not only constrained to cell phones. It is used in various devices. So the one which you all know is the mobile phone. The second is TV. So you might be knowing about the Fire TV or the smart TV. So in that, Android is used. You might be having some of you might be having cars. So the dashboard in the car itself has the Android operating system. So you will get to know that most of the devices, like even the servers which we used in corporate world, the cloud, so most of the things are based on Android operating systems, or which is indirectly dependent on Linux. So that's why it is leading the global market, as most of the devices are dependent on Android. So it's leading the market, and most of the users are using Android only as compared to iOS. So now let's see the types of apps. So there are three types of apps. So in the market, so the first one is native app, the second one is hybrid, and the third one is web-based app. So you might have a question, how a web-based app can be considered as an app. So I will clear here that the files, the only .apk files which we download from Google Play Store or apps, iOS app stores are not the apps. The concept is something different. Apps means which helps you to make the things efficient as per your needs. So it may be a website. A website can be considered as an app. So even the app which you download from Play Store, that is also an app. So let's see first the native app. So native app is currently familiar with your devices. So it's specific to the device. So you can't install Android app on iOS, and you can't install iOS app on Android. And you can see here the Windows symbol is also there. So Windows, there was a time when Nokia used to develop Windows Phone. So in that era, so it is particularly dependent on the hardware. So that's why it is said as native. So the English meaning of native is just near to you, right? So native means which is compatible with that device only, and it does not work on another device. So that is native. The second thing is web-based app. So Facebook, when launched, it was a website. It was a web app. So how it was a web app? Web app means which is your work by storing the database, by simulating the request you ask for the website. So that is web-based app. And the middle one is hybrid app. So it's the hybrid app. So it's the combination of native as well as web app. So there are some features like home button or the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi. So those things can't be accessed by a website, right? So it does not have a direct contact with the native hardware. So in order to tackle that, the developers in the market have developed hybrid apps. So it is developed by using the web technologies only, but it gives you the native feel, the native access, or the hardware access to the apps. So that is the feature of hybrid, and in the market, hybrid apps are seen everywhere nowadays. So if you see the Facebook now, the website of Facebook is converted to an web app, and that is a hybrid app. So if you download the app from Google Play Store also, so it's kind of similar to the web. So you will have somewhat look like to the Facebook website only. So it's a hybrid app which is developed by using PhoneGap or Coda. So we will be seeing these technologies further. So this was all about the apps. So if you have any questions, you can directly raise question. And I hope that you all will be talkative or more interactive. So I'm not a teacher or something. So अभी तो ये होता है ना कि asking a doubt to a teacher is quite difficult, but asking a doubt to a friend is quite easy, and he will be explaining it to you in really a friendly and what we can say easy to understandable language. So I would suggest that everyone um, takes initiative and speak with you. Okay. So if you have any doubts, directly raise the question. Okay. So I will move to the next slide. So there are many languages in the market with which you can develop apps. So there are, as I have mentioned, there are three types of apps. So those apps can be built with these many technologies, and there are many more technologies. So as you have entered or just entered into the IT sector, so you will be seeing that IT sector is really very huge. You can't learn each and every technologies. So rather be perfect in a domain and go for it and try to become the master in it. So rather than going through each and every technologies, choose the language which you are comfortable with and go with it. So these many technologies are there in the market. So the first one is Objective C. So Objective C, initially, if you consider the history of Android or the history of mobile devices, the first company which introduced the mobile device was Apple itself. So it first developed the apps in Objective C, and later on Google take over the monopoly of mobile devices by introducing Android. So the Objective C was the first language. It was a general purpose language developed by. So it's not developed by Apple, but it has been used by Apple for developing the apps. So it's an object-oriented programming language, and most of the iOS devices like OS X and iOS Watch tvOS, then many of the iOS devices are developed using Objective C. So yeah, so there is one question to us from Naneshwar Shinde that Objective C is different than C. So yes, Naneshwar, you can say it's a sister language of C. So nothing different, but there are few similarities in C. So you can say that Objective C is derived from C, or we can say it's a sister language of C. So most of the syntax, most of the libraries are similar to somewhat of C. But C, you can say that C does not have GUI, right? So GUI means you can't have a user interface which the user can interact with. So it is pretty command line based, and you can develop C. You can use C for the backend purpose only. So Objective is somewhat different. So and the most important thing is now Objective C is being discontinued by Apple. So they have moved to the Swift from 2014. So so we'll move towards the Swift. Swift is a new open source programming language for iOS, OS X, Watch tvOS, and tvOS. So you can say that it adapts faster to the architecture with Apple has developed. So you might be knowing that Apple has a different processor itself. It's not similar to Intel. So I guess you might be reading the news. So architecture of Apple is somewhat different than Android, or we can say the processor which is developed by Intel. So that's why a pretty friendly language is Swift, which is nowadays used by Apple for developing all the apps. So the most preferred one is the most preferred app is LinkedIn, that you might all know that that is currently trending in the corporate world. So that is being developed in the Swift. Okay, so here we have one question. So which language is used by Veritas among these for development? Okay, so the language which I use is Python, C, CPP, Java, and JavaScript and Perl. So yeah, so Veritas is not a Android based, or we can say not a product. Veritas does not have a product which develops apps. Veritas is completely based on security. It develops software, we can say. So those softwares are completely handled by backend with C and the front end with Java. So yeah, also in the JavaScript. So you can say that so these languages are used. The next one is CPP. So as you are from first year and second year, so you will be learning CPP as your curriculum. So CPP is the most beloved language of all the programmers, all the hackers, we can say all the developers from all over the world. So CPP is the most beloved language. As I mentioned, as it is thus derived from C, it also does not support web interface, or we can say graphical user interface. So it's completely used for backend and backend API handling. So you might not be knowing API, right? So API is just a set of codes where whenever you request something to that code, it will process the information and give back you the result. So you can at this stage you can consider this is as an API. So the next thing is Java. Yeah, Java. So Java, you will be learning Java. So that's the most important language for getting placed from Walchand. So yeah, you learn Java as well as Python. So yeah, so Java. So current market is completely based on Java. So if you have to develop an app using Android Studio, so Java is preferred there. So Java was introduced in 2008 in the Android. So thereafter, Google declared it as official language for developing the apps. So most of the apps currently in the market are Java based, and from 2018 onwards, they have shifted to Kotlin. So the next language is Kotlin. So Kotlin is the advanced version of Java. So it does not take much time. It's processor friendly. So it's quite interactive with the processor, as we can say this. And Kotlin is somewhat similar to Java. It's object oriented, and all the concepts are being followed in the Kotlin there are in Java. So the next language is Python. So you can directly learn Python without learning C, CPP or Java. So Python is English friendly language, developer friendly language. You don't have to write a hectic code which you will be writing in C, CPP or Java. So Python is user friendly, you can say. So Python is completely compatible for all the machine learning and all the apps or the web apps which are used in the market, and it's completely used in the artificial intelligence and machine learning stuff. So the next one is HTML and 5 and CSS. So you can see the HTML and CSS. So you might have learned HTML and CSS right from your 11th and 12th. So if you are having IT or any optional subject as IT, so in that curriculum you might have learned HTML and CSS. So it's the basic language which will be used for developing websites. So you can develop web apps with HTML5 and CSS along with the JavaScript at the backend or PHP at the backend. So the next one is PHP. PHP is hypertext preprocessor. So you might be thinking that PHP full form is starting with P, but the full form is hypertext preprocessor. So yeah, it's as given by the developer itself of PHP. So PHP is hypertext preprocessor. It's completely used for the backend handling of websites. So whenever the website interacts with the database. So I hope that you all are aware with the database. Database is just a place where all the data is stored. So if you are using Facebook, then all the details of your profile are being stored in the database. So PHP is a backend level language. It deals with the backend. All the API handling and all the requests are done with the help of PHP. So PHP is an object-oriented language also. So whenever you're going to use or whenever you are developing some web app, in that case you can use PHP predominantly. Yeah. So the next one is JavaScript. So JavaScript is not similar to Java. So most of the developers in the market have misconception that JavaScript is the Java itself. So no, JavaScript is not Java. JavaScript is currently making a boom in the IT market or the IT sector. So there are many frameworks of Java like Node.js, AngularJS. As I mentioned, I have worked on Node.js, AngularJS. So JavaScript is currently booming in the market. So all the web apps, or we can say Android apps also, are being developed in JavaScript. So we'll see that further. So yeah, the next one is Dart. So most loved language, which I love the most, is Dart. As I am a Flutter developer, so Dart is necessary for developing apps with Flutter. So Dart is a language somewhat similar to Go, or we can say it's somewhat similar to C. And yeah, so it has all the object oriented concepts. So if you are not knowing object oriented concepts, so you will be learning in further classes or the further years. In short, I will say that object oriented is something that deals with the uh, means we can say that it's a connection between the code and the real world entity. So if you are considering a pen as an object, so pen is an object. So and its functions, like you can write with the pen, so those are the functions of it. So you can consider for now that is object oriented programming. Okay, so is there any doubt till now? So if you have any doubt, you can raise the question. So the next one is the weapons and tools. Yeah, so you can say it as tools which are required for developing an Android app. So the first important thing is Android Studio. So the Android Studio was developed by Google. So Android Studio has all the features which an Android app should have. It supports all the features like text to speech, then Google Maps, then connection with the Firebase. So you may will be learning with Firebase also. Firebase just a online platform which helps your app to interact with the data, helps you to interact with the notification. So all the notifications are handled with the Firebase. So Android Studio has that compatibility. All the features are really very impressive that and developer directly prefer Android Studio. But nowadays Android Studio users are declining as it contains or it eats up all the processor. So that's why most of the users are now shifting towards Eclipse. So if you are not or if your laptop does not have that RAM, so you can shift to Eclipse as well. So there is one question by Anuja. Yes. So we can use IntelliJ also. So IntelliJ also has all the support or all the tools which are required for building an app. Yes, so you can go for IntelliJ also. So as I have mentioned here, there are many more tools. So the most preferred ones in the market are these tools which are mentioned here. So the next one is AID. So there was a craze in the market, like most of the developers or most of the students or most of the teenagers are just love to develop app or want to develop app of their on their own. So AID is somewhat for them. So AID is Android IDE. So and it's completely based on mobile phone. So you can develop an app on the mobile device itself. So you can write the code on mobile and directly use Android IDE for developing that app. So you can download AIDE from Google Play Store also. So you can, if you don't have laptop, you can directly go for AIDE. So yes, the question is from SAIT. Yeah. So can we use VS Code? Yes. So I am developing. I am a Flutter developer, and I completely use VS Code only. So yes, we can develop apps with VS Code, but for that you will require Gradle, or we can say that Android SDK. So here I will be explaining what is Android SDK. So for developing apps with VS Code, yes, so you can develop apps with VS Code by writing this code in the VS Code and then building the app by using the Gradle. So VS Code has all the plugins, or we can say all the tools which are which can be used by an Android developer. So you can directly go to the marketplace of the VS Code, and from that you can directly search the plugin which you want and directly merge in the VS Code itself. So yes, you can use VS Code. Then the next one is AVD Manager. So AVD stands for Android Virtual Device Manager. So AVD is So many a times it happens that our phones are not compatible, or our phones are not that high tech to test the Android developed code which we have developed. So you can directly start a virtual phone in your computer by using the AVD manager. So it can be considered as a tool to develop Android app. So you can have OnePlus in your laptop itself. If you if anyone is wants to use OnePlus, they can directly have the virtual OnePlus. Also, you can have latest Android operating system as Nougat is trending. Even Android 10 is the latest one, I guess. So Android 10, you can directly use it from the virtual device. So AVD manager helps you to build the virtual device in the computer itself, so that you can test all the code which you have done on that device, virtual device. So there is one question from Sumit. Which tools mostly used in company for Android application development? Yeah. So it's based on the company. So most of the companies are using Android Studio only, and some of them are using VS Code. So yeah. So these are the tools which are being developed, which are being used in the industry. Yeah. The next one is Android SDK. So Android SDK is required for building the app. So whichever the code you write, that needs to be converted into a .apk file. So I guess you all might be familiar with .apk file. So whenever we are sharing app from Xender, or we can share it to some another device, the .apk file is being shared to the other device. So for building that .apk file, Android SDK is used. SDK stands for Software Development Kit. Okay, so Android SDK is necessary for building that. So the last one, and I guess it's the point of interest for you all. So Unity 3D. So Unity is a game engine. You can develop Android games using Unity 3D. So it's a game engine, and it's cross-platform. So you can develop apps for iOS, then Android, then even you can develop a game for computer as well. So it's overall, what we can say, full-fledged software for developing games, and all the 3D games, 2D games can be built in Unity. So this was all about the tools. So guys, do you have any questions? So which language is supported by Unity 3D? Yes. So the language which Unity 3D supports is C#. I will comment in the chat box, C#. So you will be seeing it as C#, but it's pronounced as C#. So C# is also somewhat similar to C. So it has all the built-in features which game development requires. All the libraries are there, all the classes are there, all the plugins are there. So what a game requires. So if we think from the point of view of a common user, what a game has a character, a game has an environment, or we can say a game has objects, game has dialogues, and all the stuff can be developed using C#. So there is one question: can we develop games using C++? Yes, but C++ is kind of back-end level only. So I don't know whether there are other frameworks currently in the market. So there are a lot of, like, millions of frameworks are there in the market, but I don't think that C++ is being used by any of the framework, because C++ is kind of backend friendly, backend developed language. So yeah, so that's I guess that is the answer to your question. Yeah. So we'll move towards the next slide. That is the frameworks available in the market. So yes, there are many more frameworks in the market with which you can develop Android apps. So yes, Android are web apps. So there are millions of frameworks, but we will see few major widely used frameworks from them. Okay, so Swiftic. So from the name itself, it suggests that it's developed, or it's being used by the Apple, or as Apple is using Swift. So it's completely Swift based or Apple based framework. So most of the iOS currently in the market, iOS apps are being using Swiftic for developing iOS apps. So you can see the look and feel. So all the look, or the we can say how that you can differentiate between Apple app and Android app. So you will be enhanced, or you will be impressed by the look and feel of the Apple app. So all that stuff are being developed by Swift. The second is the second framework which is widely used in native scripts. So native script is completely for developing native apps. So you can develop app in for specifically for Android. You can develop apps specifically for iOS, specifically for website, or you can say it as web app. So yes, so native script with the in the native script you can use the languages like Angular, JS. So basically it's you can use JS, JavaScript, you can use CSS, you can use HTML. So by using web technology languages, you can develop app which will be used for any platform. Like you can use it for Android, you can use it for iOS, you can use it as a web app, you can use it for developing website. So native scripts is also a widely used framework. So you might be having a question like, which is the most hyped, or which is used by many of the users. So yes, you can directly go and select the framework which you love, and it has the supported language, it has the supported development tools. So you can you just only need to select the framework rather than choosing language and the tools. The other things are default used by that framework. So you need to use those tools only, and you need to use those languages only. So the point of choice is the framework. Framework, we can say, a basic structure built over the Android tools, which will be feasible, or which will make the Android development process easier for the user. So you can say that as framework. So there is one question from Sumit: which one is feasible, Kotlin or Java for Android development? So both the things are like, if you are a Kotlin developer, you can directly use Kotlin. If you are a Java developer, you can directly use Java. But Kotlin is quite Android friendly. Kotlin is more what we can say, more interactive with the hardware device of the mobile devices. As compared to Java, Java takes quite quite few seconds more than the Kotlin for the compilation, for the response side. So I prefer you should go with Kotlin only. Yeah. So I hope I have answered your question. So the next one is React Native. Yes. So React is being developed by Facebook. So a Facebook employee developed React, and it's completely based on JavaScript. So if you wish to develop an app using JavaScript, you can use React Native. It's widely used. Then it's a cross-platform framework, so you can develop app for iOS, Android, as well as web-based app. So I guess React Native, native scripts, and Flutter, these all are widely used frameworks. And then the next one is Flutter. So I am a Flutter developer, I love developing apps with Flutter. So Flutter is currently trending in the market. Google is completely backed with Flutter. So, and even the number of developers in the market are growing with the Flutter. And the most important thing is with Flutter is you just required to learn only one language, that is Dart, for GUI, means graphical user interface, as well as backend. So both the things can be handled by a single language, as compared to other frameworks which require more than one language to be learned. So I prefer Flutter. If you are a beginner in the Android development, you can directly go for Dart. You can learn Dart and start using the Flutter rather than going for Android Studio, or rather than going for Android. So Flutter is widely used in the market. Yeah. So the next one is Ionic. Ionic is also based on JavaScript. So most of the apps can be built by JavaScript. So you might be thinking that I am just talking about the languages which are used for developing web apps. So yes, these are the frameworks which helps to build hybrid apps. So yes, that's why those apps use JavaScript, where HTML CSS for developing the apps. So the next one is Xamarin. Xamarin is developed by Microsoft, and Xamarin uses .NET language. So previously, .NET was really making a boom in the market, but nowadays JavaScript is being replaced by .NET. Yeah. So JavaScript is now trending in the market, and .NET developers are declining. But still, Xamarin has a huge user base, and it's quite simple to use. There is only drag and drop to build an app. So if you wish to have a button in the app, you just take the button and just drop into the Android devices. So it's quite pretty simple to develop apps with Xamarin. The next one is Corona. So you might be thinking, what is Corona? So it's not the virus which is trending nowadays. Corona is a framework which you can use for developing games. Yeah. So it's you can develop games, 2D games, 3D games, and Corona uses Low language, LUA. So Low language is being used by Corona. So Corona can be used for developing apps which will be suitable for Fire TV, Apple TV, Android TV. So it's cross-platform. You can use Corona for building games on any platform like iPad, tablets, Amazon Fire, MacBook, Mac, desktop, etc. So the last one is PhoneGap. So if you are not an Android developer and you wish to develop an Android app, but you are a web developer, so I guess PhoneGap is the best suited for you. So if you have developed a website and you wish to develop an .apk file or native app, so in that case, PhoneGap will help you a lot. You just need to mention the website URL, and all the rest stuff will be handled by PhoneGap itself. It will help you to build Android app, iOS app, as well as a desktop app. So I guess PhoneGap is for those who don't want to learn Android and these languages like Java, Kotlin. You can directly go for web and convert that website to native devices. So by using PhoneGap. So these are the frameworks which are trending in the market. There are many more frameworks as well in the market, but these are the few which I think that most of the developers might be using. And even the scope in the corporate sector denotes that these are the frameworks which are widely used in the market. So if you have any question, directly ask which framework you love or which framework I am using. You can directly ask me which framework is widely using. So I will just first note to you that I am using Flutter only. So Flutter is my loved framework which I'm working on nowadays, and I am building apps also. So it's not a part of Veritas, but it's a part of learning. I love to develop apps using Flutter. Yes, so if you have any questions, you can directly ask, or I will move to the next slide. All right. So let's see the scope in the market for the Android developers. So these are the companies or the number of apps. So there are millions of apps, but still you can see the graph here. So you can see Flutter. Flutter started development in the 2018, which I am using. So you can see the trend. It's just increasing and increasing. There is no downfall for Flutter. But if you compare to Angular has started. So it's the stats are quite old, but I guess this will be similar to what in somewhat today also in the current market scenario also. So yeah, so the Flutter users are growing, and if you compare it with other frameworks, you can see the Xamarin also. So it has a downfall in 2018 April, and it again grew in May, and it again had a downfall in June. So these are the frameworks you will see in the corporate sector. So there is one question: we can build mobile apps in React Native. Yes, you can build mobile apps in React Native by using the JavaScripts or all the web technologies. So yes, you can build the app in React Native. So if you consider the two frameworks which are widely used among these are React Native and the Flutter. I don't think rest stuff are widely used. Means most of the new developers or the beginner developers are using Flutter or React Native. Even the Angular is declining in the market, though it is being developed by Google. So still it's has a declining rate in the market. So there is one question: can we build website using React Native? So actually, React Native is completely device based. So if you don't want to develop an app, you can directly use React. React is also means developed by Facebook. So you can directly use Facebook. You can directly use React for developing websites. Yes. So React can be considered as JavaScript language. Yes, so you can develop websites using React Native. And the next one is like Flutter. Yes, you can develop websites using React Native. So I would prefer, if you are using Flutter for websites, so the UI will not be much impressive because Flutter is predominantly used by Android and the iOS devices. So I prefer Flutter for devices only. Yeah, rather than website. Yes. So if you have any question, okay, so we'll move in the further slide. So here you can see the scope or the trend in the market. So the Android, you can see that Android is growing at an exponential rate. So at 85% of the users in the market are using Android. And the next one is iOS. So I think there are only two operating systems which are left in the market, that is Android and the iOS. So previously Windows phones are also there. So if you consider the Nokia devices, so when Windows overcome Nokia, at that time Nokia devices were there. So which has Windows in them. So Windows was also an operating system for the mobile devices or the smartphone devices. So even Lumia, I guess you might be knowing Lumia, Nokia Lumia. So it has Windows. So at that time, yeah. So the next one is BlackBerry. So BlackBerry used to develop their own operating system, their own devices, and only their devices supports BlackBerry operating system. So that's why it lose trend, as they didn't evolve to other platforms as well as Android did and iOS did. So that's why I guess they declined as the time passed. Symbian is an operating system which Nokia used in their means when Nokia was at the top or the leading company in the market. Symbian was the OS, like Nokia N8 and all those phones used Symbian as the operating system. Yes, and the others are really negligible, so you can neglect them. So currently, after 2016, there are, I guess, only two operating systems which are widely used in the market. That is Android and iOS. So if you have any questions, you can directly raise the question. Yes. We'll move to the next slide. So yes, so why Android device have a lot of opportunities in the current corporate world? So there are a few points I have noted, that most of the smartphone users are Android. So as from the previous chart, we have seen that Android users are growing day by day in the market. So you can directly choose Android. And yes, so the need for more and more applications. So if you see, there are more than 10 billion applications on the Google Play Store, and even the number is rising day by day. So you can see that most of the apps, like currently in most of the apps like your Dream 11 or Cricket 11, so those are trending nowadays, even the stock market apps. So there is a need in every sector for building the apps. So you can directly choose Android, or you can directly go for mobile device development or the Android development. So the next important thing is it's open source. It's very, very free. It's open source. You doesn't have to pay anything for developing the apps. I guess it's just take the minor fee for deploying the app on the Google Play Store, but it's one-time cost. So it is about $25. You need to pay when while opening the Google Play Store account. But after that you can deploy as many apps you want. So I guess Google has provided a platform where you can publish your apps and get the reviews from the users. So the next thing is little cost of investment with higher rate of investment. Yeah, return on investment. So yes, so little cost of investment. Like suppose if you are developing a game and you will require to hire. Suppose you will require to hire a developer for helping you allow for the development of game. So it's really a little cost of investment, but you can be a billionaire if the game succeeds. Like the PUBG. So PUBG is being developed in the Unreal game engine. So PUBG, as you can see, the whole world is playing PUBG, and there is a craze in the market for PUBG. So yes, they have invested a really few cost or really a little amount in developing, and they have a high return on investment. So the next one is creating very interesting and new projects. So as I mentioned, there are many sectors in the market where the Android apps are necessary. Even the digitization is not there. So you can directly, like you in the future world, I guess there will be only digital. There will be not any physical, or the physical identity will not exist. So even the lot of paperwork will get turned into digitalization. So there is really a scope for Android developers. And the industries which bring opportunities, so business, finance, medical. So all these are sectors which are like eager to have the Android apps in their sector. So just be an developer and shake the world with your Android apps. Yes. So do you have any questions regarding the scope in the corporate world?
No.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll move forward. So kickstart to game development. Yes, so you might be eager for this topic, that how games are being developed in the Android or the devices. So yes, so games are being pretty much developed by Unity 3D. So it's a game engine. So the another game engine is Unreal Engine, in which I guess the PUBG is developed in Unreal Engine by Tencent Games. So yes, so these are the games which are trending in the market. So Unity is one game engine with which you can develop 2D games, 3D games, and all the objects you can design by on your own. So here you can see the robot. So it's completely designed on Blender. So I guess in second year you will be learning about the Blender. So there is one mini project for Walchan Lights, that we have to develop a video, 3D video, by using the Blender engine. So you can develop those objects, those robots, by using Blender. So the next thing is Unity IDE. So Unity IDE means integrated development environment. So Unity provides an environment for developing the games. So and what like game means, what environment is required for developing a game is like what a game consists of. There is a scene, there are objects, there are collisions with the objects. So those are all the things which are handled by Unity IDE. So those environment is being provided by Unity to you. Yes, so there are many built-in features in Unity. That is physics. Physics means the motion of the objects. So when in the game you run, you jump, you have actions in the game, you can dance, you can run. So all those physics are being provided by the game engine itself. The next thing is 3D rendering. Yes, so 3D rendering means whenever you are developing a game in 3D, so I guess it means the best example would be in the olden times. Whenever we go to watch movies, in that time there are few frames of images, and those are being played fast, and those frames are seen to us as a continuous movie. But if you see the role of that movie, those are just the images which are played fast by the projector. So the same way is with the rendering. So within the microseconds the screen is updated. So if you push the up arrow key or down arrow key, the object moves, but what actually happens in the back end? So a new screen is being rendered whenever you press some keys, or whenever you do some actions, or whenever you whenever you want something in the game. And the collision detection, yes, the collision detection is handled by the Unity game engine itself. So there are a few concepts which needs to be introduced to you. The scene. The first is scene. The scene is something which the user sees. Like everything in the game is a scene. So environment for the character is a scene. So suppose if you consider the GTA. So in that GTA, the city is the scene. There are objects, there are buildings, there are markets. So all that stuff is considered as a scene. The second one is object. So object is the character which you play, which when there are pedestrians in the road, like if you consider GTA. So yeah, those are the objects. Then the motion, like running, sprinting, crawling. So those are the objects. Those are the motions in the GTA. So that can be considered. Then the last one is listeners. So whenever you hit a button or whenever you use mouse pointer to, or whenever you tap down the mouse button, so those actions are being listened by the game, and how to interpret with that actions is being you can design that in the Unity game engine itself. So the next one is Blender objects. So you can, as I have mentioned, there is a software named Blender. So with the Blender, you can directly develop objects. So I can show you one example. If you Google Blender objects, yeah. So there are free objects which are provided by Blender. So you can directly use these 3D objects rather than spending time to develop those objects. You can directly use these objects. So you can see there is a dragon, there are buildings, there is a plane. 3D game, there is a 3D house. So in PUBG there are many houses, so you can directly pick the house. There is an environment of 3D. There are cars, there are objects, there is a man. So these objects can be used in the game. So these are freely available on the Blender site or the free 3D objects. So we'll get back to the presentation. Yes, so these are the objects which are available. So there are few paid objects are also there. So you can pay some amount and get the objects to you. The next one is language to develop games. As there was a question which language you use in the Unity 3D. So that is C#. The C# handles all the logic. As I have mentioned, there are listeners, there are emotions in the game, there are collision detection. So all those logics are handled with C#. C# is a game mostly used for the game. I have seen C# only in the sector of game development. Yeah. So the alternative editor of your choice. So you can use any editor for developing games. You can use VS Code, you can use Eclipse, you can use Notepad also, you can use Notepad++. So any editor you wish, just open the C# script in your editor and you can make the changes, and rest will be handled by the Unity. So yes, so this was all about a kickstart. Like means there will be a complete workshop on this topic, but as we have time constraint, so I'll be just giving you the glimpse. Like each and every topic of this overall session requires a complete workshop. So yeah, so these were all the topics. I have video related to game. I will just share with you. So I'll just open the video. I guess audio is audible to you guys. Yeah, just confirm me whether audio is like.
No, actually it is not audible now.
Okay, now?
Yeah, it is audible.
Okay, sure. So I will just. Yeah. So yeah, I will explain that the developer has developed the game scene or the environment in his 2 years of Unity game development. So here you can see in the first few years he had developed the simple things like the environment, all the stuffs with Unity. Like the objects is pretty much simple. You can see the 3D objects. The mouse, the object is following the mouse. You can see the felling of trees. So all these can be developed in Unity. So in the first few months, he developed the scene as which we are seeing right now. So after 2 years of development, he converted that scene into a proper, finished and excellent environment, as you can see in the video. So yes, all these actions are handled by uh, Blender as well as C Sharp scripts. So you can see, uh, yeah. So these are the homes which are developed in the game, which the game consists of. After 2 months of Unity experience, he has developed this much. After 3 months, he has developed the felling of trees, motions, then footpaths, and all the stuff. So after a few days, he developed the dialogues and the properties, even the weapons, all those stuffs are developed after 13 months, and the dialogue conversation in the game. So game development requires time. I must say that if a perfect game can be developed in within 1 or 2 years, but it depends on the game also. So if you are developing a complete means large scale game, then it will require time. So if you are developing a simple game like the dragon game, whenever the internet is off from on the Chrome store, so that game is pretty much simple. You can develop it within few minutes. So based on game, the time span required for the development of game varies. Yeah. So yes. So this was just a scenario I wish to show you, like how the game is being developed, how the characters are manipulated in the game, how the coding is done. Yeah, means I skip the coding part. Like first, you might get frustrated by seeing the code, but it's a 2 years journey. So don't miss that. It's a 2 year journey of the developer. So it requires a time to get adapt to that environment. But once you are familiar with it, I must say that no one can stop you from being a billionaire if you are a proper or good developer. So this was all about from my side. So I will get back to PPT. Yeah. So yes, if you have any questions, you can directly ask.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Aniket sir, it was a really great and friendly explanation,
Yeah.
which having the combination of languages, weapons, tools, and technology frameworks.
Yeah.
How is the scope in the corporate Android opportunities and game development and so more.
Yeah.
Really, it was really interesting session till now you have covered. Uh, I would like to say thank you for your valuable guidance. I assure you this will definitely helpful in the development for us. Now let us
Yes.
move to the Q&A session. Now I request participants to post their queries in the chat box. And if someone wants to communicate directly with Mr. Aniket sir, you can unmute yourself and can ask your queries. Yeah,
So
is
guys,
there
be
any?
interactive. Means yeah. Means if you have any question, don't hesitate to ask what the question is, what the level of question is. Even at the start, I was pretty nerd kind of guy. I don't know any much. Means most of the frameworks I didn't know at the start. Even in the first year, I don't even know what is C, how the C is being used. So don't have a fear in your mind that uh, developing these things are hard to us, or like it's no, nothing is hard in this world. You can learn anything if you give time to it and do hard work in it. Yeah. So there are two questions. I have started learning Flutter. Do you have any tips for a beginner? Yes. So as a beginner, I will suggest that try to develop short apps like just a Google text to speech app, or just try to develop UI only. Don't go for the backend. So it will help you to excel few things which are required. Like you can build short apps or small apps for giving the notification to other devices, or giving push notifications to some other devices. So you can first try with the small apps, then after you are done with the small apps, you can consider a scenario, or you can take a scenario and develop a full-fledged applications by using the technologies or by using the knowledge you have earned by developing the small apps. So once you have built a complete full-fledged app, you can deploy that on Google Play Store, and you can get the reviews from that. So that's the most important thing, and that is pretty much simple. So I guess Flutter, you will be quite fast in the development. So the next question is, any good resources to learn and how did you learn? Okay. So yeah, so there are like, if you consider how I have learned. So I've just opened the youtube.com and directly search if I wish to learn how to add a button in the Android activity, how to add Google text to speech. I have just YouTube. I have just searched over the YouTube. There is not a specific channel, I can say. So whichever the video you like, you get all the stuff, or you understand, you can directly go and try to implement those as it is. First you can try to implement as it is, and then later on you can make changes and learn how the things are changing when you do short changes in your code or small changes in your code. So the beginning days were just these were my beginning days. Like, I started with YouTube and gradually keep on increasing my knowledge, and based on the scenario or based on the requirement, I went on learning all the stuff. Yes. Yeah, means if you are really eager to develop, if you really want a course, you can go to Udemy. There is a Flutter development course, Flutter Kickstarter Flutter, and I guess that's the course name. Or you can check any course on Udemy. Placement scope for Flutter, yes. In the market, there are many companies which are currently hiring only Flutter developers and paying a huge for the Flutter developer. So if the cost of developing an Android app, Android specific app, not an iOS app, Android specific app, if the cost is 9 to 10,000, and Flutter app will cost in 80 to 90,000 in India. So just think the gap between the technologies. Though it is easy to learn Flutter, but still you can measure the cost difference in the apps. So in the market, I have developed 2 to 3 apps for my clients, and really they are really happy with the stuff I have developed. And the cost, you can ask whichever you want. So just think of it. Yeah, so we will enter in the second year now. So when to start with Android and the first step for Android development. So you are just entering in the second year. So try to first learn Java. That's the basic stuff. I will suggest that you first get familiar with the Java and the database. So these are the two these are the two things which you should start with. Java and database. So connectivity of database. What is database? How the data is being stored in the database? Can we use database for the authentication, like username and password? So every authentication is being handled with the help of database. So how you can increase the security? So all that you can start with. So these are the points you can start with. Yes. So whenever you are starting with Android development, try to just go with the UI only. Try to develop UI, means only the activity, how it looks, not the backend stuff, not the actions when you click on the button, what will happen. So just go for developing the UI first. Yes, I will suggest that. Are there any on-campus companies? Yes, there are many on-campus companies. So Rajas, RSL, I guess you might all be knowing about RSL. RSL is completely Android product-based company. So RSL is there, and RSL is also providing services to Google. So if you are quite lucky, so you can directly shift from RSL to Google itself. So yes, RSL is the company. So most of the companies are using application developers. Yeah. So the preferred one is RSL, then ISRTs is there. Then even Pubmatic is also hiring the app developers. Yeah. So there are many companies. You just add in your resume, and you never know what the company expects. So there are many, and even most of the companies are preferring nowadays the native devices or the app development. So yes. So any more questions? Is there any question left to be answered? Okay, so all the questions are covered. So yeah. So any more questions, guys? You can ask directly by unmuting yourself in any language. So as today's Independence Day, you can ask in Hindi as well. It's our national language, so you can ask in Hindi, you can ask in Marathi, or you can ask in English.
Yeah. I think, sir, regarding the Android, you have covered lots of doubt in the session itself only.
Yeah.
I can say to the participants that if you are having doubts other than Android, then you can also ask.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get it. Can you repeat, please?
Miss, any doubts related to our department can ask. I say.
Okay, so if I have any question, so how is department now? Is the lab as maintained as it was in my days? So I guess
Actually,
that's the question. Yeah.
actually, we are not there from
Yeah.
the
So you are
one
not
and
you
one
are
and a
not
half
in the
year.
campus, right?
Mhm.
Right. So I used to be co-chief lab administrator in my TY days. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I really love time spending in labs. So in my 24 hours day, I used to spend almost 18 to 19 hours in my lab only. Even I used to sleep in lab sometimes. Yeah. So yes, so those were the days those days I used to, like, I was really very curious guy. I tried to learn many new technologies in those years.
Yeah, we have seen you.
Yeah.
Uh, if you are having any questions, please ask here in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Like last 1 minute, I will wait for a minute. If there will not be any question, I will go further. I think all the doubt get cleared. I would like to move further. Honorable Speaker, Mr. Aniket sir, and all the participants, it is such a great honor for me to get an opportunity to thank you all dignitaries on the behalf of entire site family along with the IT department and WCE. I thank you to all the present over here for making this webinar great success for us. I extend my gratitude to our keynote speaker for reserving their valuable time to make our webinar real successful. Now, I would like to hand over the session to our secretary, Ms. Swarangi. Over to you, Swarangi.
Yeah, I'm audible.
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
Yeah. So, on behalf of the SAIT family, I extend my gratitude to you for all your valuable guidance. So, this was one of the sessions of our Tech Talk series where our esteemed alumni guide us in various technical fields. So, any suggestions that you have for SAIT, what we can do better in the series?
I guess it's a really great initiative taken by SAIT. So in my days, SAIT never had this initiative like the series of tech talks. So it's really a great initiative by SAIT. And yeah, means the coding events are happening right now in the site. So
Yes, sir,
yeah,
there are occasional
yeah,
coding events.
right. So the coding events are really helpful for the young developers, and I would suggest that if you go for a workshop of any workshop, like now means there are workshop like cloud is there, even hardware workshop is also there. But if you try to take a Flutter development or Android development workshop, then it will be nice.
Yes, sir, thank you so much for the suggestions.
Yeah.
So I think we've reached the end of the session. All the best for your future endeavors, sir. And with that, I'll officially conclude the session. Thank you all.
Thank you. So there is a feedback form. Just let me know the feedback.
Yes, sir, sure.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you to all. And have a good day. Yeah, bye.